From the land of 10,000 lakes and just as many heartaches, welcome to the 301 Show. We're here to celebrate, commiserate, and maybe, just maybe, see a Minnesota team win it all. Whether you're dreaming of a Vikings Super Bowl, reliving the glory days of the Twins, or still recovering from the Timberwolves roller coaster, we've got you covered. This is the 301 Show, where the North remembers and the passion never fades.
Yes, welcome into episode 26 of the 301 Show. Great episode here today. We got a couple of draft recaps to go over to. We'll preview another draft as well as a trade that was made, as well as looking at the two teams that are currently playing in their season. Two very opposite seasons so far. Let's get into that, plus more here on the 301 Show. Yes, now let's move on to the Wolves Den. We've got a couple of things to go over with the Wolves, and then a couple of things to go over with the Lynx. Let's really start with the Lynx and give an update on their season. They are now 12-2. The Lynx are 12-2. They are fourth in points for per game with 83.4. The field goal percentage and the three-point field goal percentage are both second in the WNBA. Free throw percentage as well as rebounds per game are both seventh in the WNBA. Blocks against per game, or blocks for per game, how many blocks they are getting, is number one. They are 5.1 blocks per game, so fantastic number there. Turnover differential per game, again, a little bit better than last week, but still minus 0.8, so they're still in the red there. That is 10th in the WNBA out of 13 teams. Points against per game, they are number one, 73.6. We got two teams either right now or this past season with the Wolves that are absolutely fantastic defensively. So field goal against percentage is 40.2%, which is second. 3-point field goal against percent is 30.1, which is third. Rebounds against per game is 33.8, which is tied for fifth fewest. Blocks against per game is 2.8, which is tied for second. They had two games since last episode. They beat the Los Angeles Sparks here at Target Center, and then they lost to the Washington Mystics by 4 points in Washington. So they have a couple of games here tonight into next week. They play at Atlanta tonight at 6:30 Central Time. They play on Sunday at 6 p.m. at home against the Connecticut Sun. And then they play on Tuesday, July 1st against the Indiana Fever in the Commissioner's Cup final. So again, congratulations to them to make it to the Commissioner's Cup. They'll have to keep going. They are playing pretty well so far. Again, they're 14 games in and they've only lost 2 games. This team looks, similar to last year's team with how well they're playing, but this year is more expected. I feel like last year their run to the NBA Finals WNBA Finals was a bit surprising to some people, and this year it should be the reverse. If they don't make it to the WNBA Finals, it should be should be a surprise. So they're putting themselves in a good spot to win though at this point. They're in it every night, even when they lose. They lost by 4 points. So they are in it every single night, and they need to continue that streak there. They need to continue playing like they are to be able to, again, put themselves in the best position to win. I'm not saying they're going to win every single game, but they will be at least in a position to win every single game if they play like that. Let's move over to the Timberwolves. We've got 3 things to talk about here. First, let's talk about the KD trade. The Wolves are heavily rumored in the KD sweepstakes, if you want to call it sweepstakes, but they do not pull the trigger on the trade. I think it might have been a Phoenix area, or the Phoenix was the one that said no to it. But Kevin Durant is a Houston Rocket. He went to Houston for Jalen Green, Dylan Brooks, the number 10 pick in this year's draft, and 5 second-round picks. So, which, again, part of that trade is my biggest gripe with the NBA. The league year technically does not end until after the draft, and all of these teams want to make sure they're cap compliant for the current year, and they know that the salary cap is going up in the next year, so they will make a trade, but it won't officially go through the league. And so that's why you get pictures like Trae Young wearing the Dallas Mavericks hat and Luka wearing the Atlanta Hawks hat at the draft, is because it's not an official trade yet. I don't get why the NBA can't just make the new league year before the draft, and that way you can have the players introduced as the team that they're actually going to be playing for. I really don't like. Baseball's a little different because their draft is during the actual season, but the NFL and NHL, their league year starts before the draft. So all of those trades are officially gone through, and they're introduced as, players on their current team. So I don't understand. It seems like the easiest fix to just move the new league year up a couple days, and maybe it's a players association collective bargaining agreement issue that they need to wait until their current agreement is up. But it seems like a very easy change to just make that new league year start before the draft. And again, speaking of the draft, the Wolves had picked 17 in the first round, and they took center Johan. I'm going to butcher this name. It was Johan Berenjay from France. I really hope I pronounced that name correctly. But Berenjay is 6'11", 230 pounds. He did not start playing basketball until 2021. So he has 4 years of actual experience playing basketball, like organized basketball. But in the Adriatic League, he was second in the league in blocks per game. So I really do feel like this is a potential Rudy Gobert replacement. I don't know if that's 100% he will be replaced this year, but he very much seems like if he started playing basketball 4 years ago and he's gotten good enough to be the 17th overall pick within 4 years, he seems like the type of guy that could improve enough to be a starting center in this league very soon, within like a year, if not like immediately. So I do think that is a very good pick by the Wolves. And I would absolutely, I personally love it. They need size, and they need to get younger on the size part of their team. So this is absolutely perfect. If we move on to the big news that dropped in the last week, the NBA owners voted on approving the deal for Marc Lore and Alex Rodriguez to become owners of the team, of the Timberwolves and the Lynx. And it was a unanimous vote. They needed 75%, which of 29 votes, because Glenn Taylor can't vote on his own sale. Of the 29 votes, they got 29 votes. So they are officially the new owners of the Timberwolves, and they will get to work here in the offseason trying to get this team over the hump of actually winning a championship. The Timberwolves posted on their own YouTube channel an interview that Marc Lore and A-Rod did with the Timberwolves play-by-play guy, Michael Grady, and Lore had a direct quote here that I do want to read you. I think it's absolutely fantastic. Said, if I had to pick one thing, it would be, and the question was asked, what do you want fans to know? So Marc Lore's response was, if I had to pick one thing, it would be, we are not moving the team ever. We are never moving the team. So again, I think, maybe we, they move the team if they can't get a new deal done with the stadium, but I do think they want a new stadium here at some point, because the Target Center is the second oldest building in the NBA behind Madison Square Garden, which Madison Square Garden has been renovated, completely renovated, not just putting a facelift on it, like actually fully renovated. So it is the Target Center is the building in most need of an upgrade. They need an upgrade at Target Center. So yeah, I think that's kind of the next big news here. I don't know how long it will take to sort all that out. A couple years for sure. So we will see exactly what happens with the new stadium. So that should be exciting news to track this offseason. Maybe there won't be a ton of news about that this offseason, but we'll report back if there is. So moving on to predictions here, we had one come off the board that was correct. That was that KD will not be traded to the Timberwolves. So that one was correct. Made that last week or the week before. Just kind of saw the writing on the wall that he didn't want to come to Minnesota. So that leaves me at 14 of 58 for 24% in the Wolves' den on my predictions. So we've got 3 coming up here. New ones. I said the Lynx will hit the 20-plus wins before losing their 5th game. So they will be 20-4 or better this season. Then Nafisa Collier puts up 35 points in a game this year. So far she has 34. So 34 will not be her season high this season. And then Naz Reid re-signs with the Timberwolves for $20 to $25 million. His deal will be somewhere within that range. And that is inclusive. So if it's 20 million or 25, this point counts. So that is my predictions for the Wolves' Den for episode 26. All right, moving on to the Rinkside Rundown. We've got some news for both teams here in this segment, both the Wild and the Frost. If you haven't seen my interview with either Nate Prosser or Liz Shepard, both of those are up on this 301 Show channel. Both of them are former players for each of their respective teams here in the state of Minnesota. Let's start with the Wild, though. They have made a trade at this point. Freddie Gaudreau is being sent to Seattle. And in return, the Wild are getting a 2025 4th-round pick. And they are taking on all of Freddie Gaudreau's contract. And this is very much just a cap dump to try to get, someone in free agency that is a upgrade. So there's, Freddie was playing middle 6 minutes when he probably should have been a bottom 6 forward. But that will, they do not have Freddie Gaudreau, but they do pick up another 4th round pick, and because it's from Seattle, it should be, early to mid 4th round. So now they have a 2nd round, 2 4ths, a 5th, and a 6th or a 7th, one of those two, as their last pick. So just trying to load up on just any type of picks in this upcoming draft, which actually is tonight. We will go over the results of that in next week's episode. So yeah, just be on the lookout for that next week. Then we've got an update for the Marco Rossi to Vancouver. Rumors, according to Satir Shah, the Wild want a top prospect and the 15th overall pick. So they want someone that could possibly step in now or help them in the future, as well as obtaining the 15th overall pick. If you remember last week, Vancouver offered them just the 15th overall pick, but they do not want only the 15th overall pick. Last thing here for the Wild is that the Iowa Wild have hired Greg Cronin, who has 18 years of coaching experience. He spent the last 2 years as the head coach of the Anaheim Ducks, and then he has spent 7 seasons as a head coach of the AHL's Colorado Eagles and the Bridgeport Sound. So he has head coaching experience at both the NHL and AHL level. Didn't do too well with the Ducks in the NHL. And then a couple points below 500 was his best season with the Ducks. So hopefully he can focus more on just developing players in Iowa and getting them set to come up to Minnesota. He's also the co-founder of the U.S. National Development Team program. So yeah, that is Greg Cronin, hired by the Wild to be the head coach of the Iowa Wild. As we move over to the Frost down the hall at the XL Energy Center, couple things. First of all, we've got the PWHL Awards, which we will, couple of Frost got all-star teams. Sophie Jacques, who got the first all-star team as a defender, and then Claire Thompson, the defenseman, and forward Kendall Coyne Schofield got second team all-star, second all-star team. And then Britta Curl Salami, the forward, got all rookie team. So a couple of Frost getting all-star team nominations here. As for the PWHL draft, they were able to they had the 6th overall pick. They took defender Kendall Cooper. Sophie Jacques left them in free agency, so they're hoping that she can grow into the Sophie Jacques replacement. She went to Quinnipiac, where she put up 26 points in 37 games this past season. 14th overall, 2nd round, 6th pick was Abby Hustler. Hopefully her last name shows her effort level. She was point per game. The forward was at St. Lawrence University, 39 points in 39 games played. That breaks down to 19 goals and 20 assists. 22nd overall, again, Hustler's teammate from St. Lawrence, Anna Segdai, 24 points in 39 games. Ava Rinker, the defender out of UConn, was taken 30th overall in the 4th round, put up 20 points in 36 games. Vanessa Upson, from Mercyhurst, put up 43 points in 38 games. She was taken 38th overall in the 5th round. The 6th round pick, the final pick for the Frost in this year's draft, was Brooke Becker, the defender out of Providence College. She had 18 points in 35 games played. So that was the draft overview for the Frost. We'll have the draft overview next week for the Wild. And so that, again, some news out there of for the Rinkside Rundown, but not a ton. So we will move on to predictions. All right, the predictions got a little bit corrupted there at the end of that segment, so I'm re-recording the predictions part. Had one come off the board. I said the Frost will re-sign Maddie Rooney, Maggie Flaherty, and Michaela Cava. That did not happen. They only re-signed Maddie Rooney, so that is incorrect. That brings my total up to 17 of 55 for 31%. And then 3 predictions going on the board. The Iowa Wild will have a better record this year, this upcoming season, than this past season. Then Kendall Cooper scores her first PWHL goal in her first 5 PWHL games. So the first 5 games of her career, she will have at least 1 goal in the PWHL. And then Jesper Wallstedt, he's projected to be the backup goalie this year for the Wild. So my prediction is that he will start 10 plus NHL games this upcoming year. He does not even have 10 plus NHL starts in his career. So he will start more than 10 or more games this upcoming season. All right, moving on to the Nordic Report now. This segment's probably going to be the shortest one we have today. There's just not a ton of news coming out of the Vikings right now. I do have a quote from TJ Hockenson about JJ McCarthy. They'll give a little bit of an update into their training camp and how JJ McCarthy is performing so far. TJ said that he turns it on when he gets on the field. You don't really notice that when you're hanging out and talking to him, but he really wants it. He really wants to be perfect. He's a perfectionist for sure, which is awesome. You know, the ball zips on you. He can spin it. It's been a lot of fun to see him in organized team activities, and I can't wait to see him in camp and throughout the season. So it seems like even the pass catchers, the guys that are actually going to be receiving the ball from not TJ Hockenson. Maybe who knows if KOC's working up some trick plays, they might see the ball from TJ Hockenson this season. But the guys that are getting the ball from JJ McCarthy are saying that he is doing well so far, and that's absolutely fantastic to see. I don't put too much stock in the statistics in training camp, but it's what the eye test looks like more in training camp. If the ball is wobbling, if it just doesn't look great, if it looks like he's Jameis Winston going through the tackle machine or whatever that is, probably not great. So I just think it's great to see that he is playing well, and the pass catchers are actually noticing it too. So yeah, that's the quote from TJ Hockenson. There was a list done of the top 10 head coaches in the NFL right now. Over at PFF, it was Dalton Wasserman was the one that made the list. So I want to go over the top 10 and just say my piece here. So first, the top head coach right now, number 1, Andy Reid. If anybody disagrees with that, I check on to see if they're actually okay. Because Andy Reid right now is the best coach in the NFL. With his pedigree, with his how he's how his teams are performing right now, plus his pedigree as a head coach, it makes him the greatest coach right now. So Andy Reid has to be number one. So completely agree with that. Number two, they have Sean Payton, who I think is to me is a little overrated at number two, but deserves to be in the top 10 for sure. Number three, Sean McVay. Again, deserves to be in the top 3 or 5 for sure. Then number 4 is John Harbaugh. Number 5 is Mike Tomlin. So those two, again, very long tenured head coaches. The two longest tenured head coaches in the actively in the NFL, in Baltimore and Pittsburgh. I think Tomlin was hired a year after Harbaugh, or maybe it's the other way around, but it's 16 and going into year 17 and 18 for those two, with their respective team. Again, could probably say they're a little bit overrated at those two, but they for sure deserve to be in the top 10, but I'm not going to put up too much. I'd argue more that Sean Payton is overrated than those two would be. And so the bottom 5 here, by bottom 5, I mean 6 through 10 in the NFL. I am willing to hear arguments about them being in different spots on here. So number 6 is Jim Harbaugh. Again, he had a great run with San Francisco back 10 to 15 years ago. He hasn't been in the NFL that much longer since. Again, I do think he deserves to be in the top 10 probably, but at number 6, again, I'd probably put a couple. At least number 7 is Kyle Shanahan. I'd put Kyle Shanahan over Jim Harbaugh right now, personally. Number 7 is Nick Sirianni with the Philadelphia Eagles. Number 9 is, Nick Sirianni is number 8. Number 9 is Dan Campbell with the Detroit Lions. And number 10 is Kevin Stefanski. So there's no KOC on this list, and I understand too, KOC's got to win a playoff game, but I do think he deserves to be in this top 10 list. I'd probably put him over Sirianni, Campbell, and Stefanski right now, for sure. And I think right now, Andy Reid and Sean McVay are the only two coaches I would 100% take over him, because they have the proven postseason success at this point. And KOC learned from Sean McVay as Sean McVay's OC. All the other guys, Sean Payton, John Harbaugh, Mike Tomlin, Jim Harbaugh, those guys, and maybe Kyle Shanahan would be, a half a tier down from Sean McVay and Andy Reid, where it's I could maybe hear the argument, but it would take some strong convincing. All the other ones, I would take KOC over them right now. I would. And that's not just me being a homer. I think KOC knows this version of the NFL the best over those guys. And again, it's hard to say when Sirianni is just won a Super Bowl. And again, of that list, I probably put him at the top. But I just think, again, I know Lions fans are going to get mad at this, but Dan Campbell, fantastic culture guy. He doesn't call plays, though. And to me, a head coach needs to probably do both. And that's the same thing with Ben Johnson, but in the reverse, too. We haven't seen him need to set a culture in Detroit. He was just calling plays. So, and again, he hasn't been a head coach. And also maybe he will be a fantastic culture setter in Chicago. But we just don't know that at this point. Now, what I'm really happy about is they didn't put any first-year head coaches on this. I'd be really mad if a Ben Johnson got on this list over KOC. And maybe Ben Johnson is a better head coach than KOC is, but we just haven't seen that yet because he hasn't been a head coach in the NFL. I don't. That is my 2 cents on the top 10 head coaches. Let's move on to predictions. I said it was going to be a bit of a shorter segment, and we're about 8 minutes into this segment. So let's move on. All right, these predictions got corrupted too, so I'm recording this a second time as well. Again, no predictions came off the board. That was 17-47. That remains at 36%. But we've got 3 new predictions going on the board here for the Nordic Report. 3 new predictions. Justin Jefferson averages 100-plus yards per game in 2025. So if he plays all 17 games, he's going to have at least 1,700 yards. So however many games he plays in 2025, he will average 100-plus yards per game. J.J. McCarthy throws for at least 3,500 yards. And then the Vikings will score 5+ red zone rushing touchdowns. So it doesn't matter how many passing touchdowns they get in the red zone. They will score 5+ rushing red zone touchdowns. They're going to do a lot better in the red zone this year than they did in the last couple. All right, coming on to the Target Field Talkers now. The last team segment of episode 26. The couple of things here with the Twins. They are now 39-42. They are 3 games below 500. They are 3rd in the AL Central. They are 8th in the wild card. So they're the 5th team out of the last wild card. I really think that that's going to be how they make the playoffs. I don't think they're catching Detroit for the division. They would also have to leapfrog the Cleveland Guardians to do that as well. So I think the AL Central is out of the picture at this point, but we'll see. And the wild card is trending more and more to be out of the picture, but again, nothing's official on that part until the season ends. As for the batting average, they're hitting 243, which is tied for 19th. They're 314th, that is 20th. 399 slugging, that is tied for 13th. On base plus slugging is 713, which is 16th. And runs scored, they're 15th with 347 runs scored. Home runs, they've hit 93 that's good for 11th in the MLB. Walks, they are 22nd for 242, which again is not great because they're not giving you just free bases. They're making you actually swing, and that when you do swing, you're striking out 663 times, which is tied for 15th in baseball. So again, that's right in the middle of the pack. You're not even putting the ball in play. And that's something they've struggled with the last couple of years is the strikeouts, and so this is technically an improvement, but again, 15th is just not where you want to be if you are trying to be a good team in Major League Baseball. Stolen bases, they are 37th, or excuse me, not 37th. They have 37. They are tied for 28th. The Detroit Tigers are the only team not stealing as many bases as them. And again, this goes back to partially personnel. Seems like Buxton is the only one that can steal. Luke Keyshaw was stealing a lot too. He had 5 stolen bases in the 7 games he played, but again, he is hurt, and it seems like he is a ways away from getting back. But this is, you don't need to steal bases necessarily, but this is something that is more about the system of Twins baseball at this point, and they're not taking that extra base. They're not, on a hit to single or on a single to the outfield. They're not going first to third, and they're not taking that extra base when they need to. And again, that does come down to personnel too, but some of it too is just philosophy of the coaching staff, starting with Rocco and again, I know Sammy Watkins, in years past too, guys have blown through stop signs and not just ignored what he is saying at third base, trying to hold guys up, and some guys will just blow through that stop sign. But again, if you can just take that extra base, even some of the time, that helps you tremendously get a runner 90 feet closer to scoring. And that run scored that's 15th will shoot up you'll shoot up the rankings if you can just do that. So yeah, that's where they're at with stolen bases. On the pitching and fielding side, things continue to go down the drain. ERA is sitting at 4.18, which is tied for 21st. Again, they were so good the first 2 months, and then Pablo got hurt, and for some reason, everybody started to pitch poorly after he got hurt. The WHIP is sitting at 125, which is tied for 13th. Strikeouts, they are 9th with 699, so one more strikeout, and they will reach 700 as a team this season. Walks, that's the only good thing on this pitching and fielding section. The pitching has only walked 216 batters. That is first in the MLB. In terms of errors, again, they added a couple more. They are tied for 20th with 42 errors on the season. And fielding percentage, they're also tied for 20th with 800 within 985 fielding percentage. Again, it's just kicking the ball around in the field, and they just, I don't know. It's just, this is kind of the worst place for a sports team to be. It's not that the fans are like mad or angry. You'd rather have them be mad or angry. At this point, fans are apathetic about this team. They don't care about this team. Because at least if they're mad, sometimes they'll go to the game to boo, and you're still getting money, at least, from concessions and from ticket sales. And if they don't care about your team, they're not going to watch your product. And with a team that's supposedly allegedly $400 million in debt, you need just any revenue you can get at this point. So I don't know what that is. And speaking of them being apathetic, on average, they are drawing only less than 21,000 fans to Target Field for their home games. They're 25th in the MLB for home game for home attendance. There are there's 5 teams ahead of them or behind them in that has lower attendance. You got the Pittsburgh Pirates, the Miami Marlins, the Chicago White Sox, the Tampa Bay Rays, and the Athletics. Of those 5 teams that I just mentioned, 2 of them are playing in minor league stadiums. The Tampa Bay Rays and the Athletics are playing in minor league stadiums in Sacramento and in the Tampa area. Obviously, Tampa was out of their control. The hurricane hit Florida and destroyed their stadium. But 2 teams that are behind the Twins in attendance are playing in minor league stadiums. So of the 28 teams that are playing in major league stadiums, there are only 3 teams worse in home attendance than the Minnesota Twins. One of those 3 teams, the Chicago White Sox, set the record for the worst record last season. And of those 5 teams, do you know what team I didn't mention there? The Colorado Rockies, who are on pace to blow past the White Sox in their quest for the worst record in Major League Baseball. The Colorado Rockies had 9 wins when they hit their 50th loss of the year. And the Twins can't out-attend the Colorado Rockies. It's embarrassing. The players, the coaches, the front office, everybody should be embarrassed by that stat. This past week, the Mariners were in town for 4 games. They split that series. That's how they got 2 of their 3 wins in their last 14 games. They're 3-11 in their last 14 games. The 2 of their 3 wins came in the last 2 games. They won 10-1 and 2-0. On Monday, though, they lost 11-2. It was one horrible inning by Bailey Ober, let up 6 runs. I thought he pitched pretty well otherwise. He pitched 7 innings. Gave up 1 run over 6 innings. That wasn't the third. The third inning, he let up 6 runs, but other than that third inning, he pitched 6 innings of one run baseball. Cal Raleigh, again, the Mariners catcher, who was, he has 31 now. At the time coming into that game, he had 31 home runs. Cal Raleigh hits a home run, a 2-run homer to put them up 11-2 in the 9th inning. He was getting MVP chants from the Mariners fans, and they were loud. They were really loud. The Mariners fans, obviously the Mariners had more to cheer about than the Twins did that game, but Mariners fans were louder than the Twins fans. And when you think of home teams' attendance, or which teams travel well to Minnesota, you think the 2 teams that come to mind first are the Toronto Blue Jays. Get a lot of fans coming down from like the Winnipeg area because it's easier to come to Minnesota than it is to go to Toronto. Probably cheaper too, with how expensive Toronto is. And the Milwaukee Brewers. Again, you're going to get a lot more fans driving from like Hudson and western Wisconsin to the Twin Cities than have to go all the way across the state of Wisconsin to Milwaukee. Those are the 2 teams. And then Yankees fans, Red Sox fans, Dodgers fans, those types of fans always travel well. But they also have fans everywhere too. The Seattle Mariners are not one of those teams that you think travel really well or have fans everywhere. The Mariners fans were louder than the Twins fans on Monday night. And as they should be. The attendance, again, like people aren't showing up. People do not care about the Twins right now. People would rather sit outside in the rain, like it's been raining the last couple days here in the Twin Cities. They'd rather sit outside in the rain than watch the Twins play baseball. The Twins should absolutely be embarrassed by that. The Rockies don't even have 10 wins at home yet. They're 8-30 at home. They have a .228 winning percentage overall. Overall, too, minus 204 run differential. They're going to, at the end of the season, they're going to have a minus 500 run differential. They're going to have been outscored by 500 runs if this continues. And the Rockies have better attendance at home than the Twins do on average. It is embarrassing. And I don't think things are going to change until the Pohlads sell the team. I really don't. I don't think, I think the new owner needs to come in here and what they should do, again, I saw this on Twitter, so I'm not taking, this isn't my idea. I don't want to take credit for it. I forget, I apologize, I forget whose idea this was. They should bring back one night a week when there's home games, like they do the Dollar Dog Night. They do $1 for a hot dog. What they should do is, instead of Dollar Dog Night, Metrodome prices on everything. Everything goes back to the 1990s Metrodome prices on all food, beverage. That will get people in your stadium on Tuesdays or whatever night a week you decide to have Dollar Dog or Metrodome price night. Maybe it's Metrodome Mondays. And every Monday home game is Metrodome prices. That would be absolutely amazing. But I don't think that is a long-term solution to the problem the Twins have here, which is, again, people just not caring about the Twins as a product. I think they need new owners, and again, God forbid I say this, they might need to rebuild at this point because people do not care. And you are now wasting how many times have we said since 2017 and now? How many times have we said if only Byron Buxton could stay healthy? He would be absolutely amazing. This team is a Byron Buxton away from actually contending. Like that 2019 Bomba Squad year, if they had Buxton, and I know they needed more help on the pitching side of it than they did on the hitting side of it, but if they had a healthy Byron Buxton all year, if a couple years ago Buxton was healthy when they won their first playoff game all season, they could have actually beaten I believe they could have beaten the Astros and gone to the ALCS that year. Now you have a healthy Byron Buxton and you don't have the team around him. You don't. And it sucks. It sucks to see this team losing day in and day out. They got swept by Milwaukee over the weekend. And over 3 games, they lost by a combined score of 35-12. That's basically just over a little bit over 11-4 was the average score for that series. That is god awful. That is so bad. So bad. The Twins don't deserve to make the playoffs. They don't even deserve to be in contention for the playoffs at this point. And again, I don't fully know what needs to change, but something does. Something needs to change. They got a 3-game weekend series in Detroit starting tonight. Detroit leads the division. They have the best American League record. I don't think it's going to get better tonight. You better hope and pray that it gets better in Miami. And I'm just done with this team. I am. I've got to cover them because of this show, but I'm sick of this team at this point. Love Target Field. Absolutely love Target Field on a nice night. It's fantastic. But this team, the actual product isn't the field. It's not the ballpark. Although it might for this season it might be turning into the ballpark is the actual product. Because the product is supposed to be on the field, and it sure as hell isn't on the field this year. And on top of all that, the Twins picked up Rocco Baldelli's team option for 2026. And again, I understand too, it's not all Rocco's fault. It's not. Coaching in managing in the MLB is not like the NFL. The NFL is by far and away the coaches have the most impact on the game. By far and away, it's the NFL. But you can't tell me that Rocco doesn't say it's something. Like he has nothing to do with this team's success. Because if you don't, why do you even waste the money on a manager? If you want to right-size the business and Rocco has no effect on this team, why are you wasting the money on hiring him? So they picked him up. Again, I don't know if he deserves to be fired because there have been injuries, just weird season so far. But I would not have picked up his option right now. At least I wouldn't have announced that I picked up his option, during a 3-11 over 14 games, and even worse than that as you go back further. I wouldn't have announced that then. So you're not doing yourselves any favors in the eyes of the fans at this point. And it's only going to get worse the rest of this season. So let's move to predictions here. We had one come off the board. This should have come off the board a couple weeks ago, but I said Twins will take 2 out of 3 in Houston. That was incorrect. That brings my percentage to 22%, 7 of 32. 3 predictions coming back on the board here. First one, Twins lose 90-plus games this season. Royce does not play an MLB game before July 15th, and the Twins lose both series, the one in Detroit and the one in Miami, before the 4th of July. All right, moving on to the power rankings segment. Again, I probably ordered this episode a little bit backwards because we are going to stay in the negatives here, and we will cover the top 10 most heartbreaking losses in Minnesota sports history. And you will see there is one sport that is covered the most, and there's one team that is covered by far more than any other team on this list. So, that being said, we will get to number 10 here, and this is a recent one. Number 10 is the Gophers losing in Week 19 at Iowa after beating Penn State to ruin their perfect season up to that point. They actually had a very good chance to go undefeated that year, and they had made it into the top 10. College Game Day had been there with the Penn State game. I think they were there during the Iowa or the Wisconsin game in Week 12 too, but the Iowa game was a loss that ruined the perfect season, and that is the what started the real PJ Fleck hype train around the Twin Cities. On to number 9 here, the 2017 AL wildcard game that was Twins Yankees in the AL wildcard in 2017. That game also the management had sold at the deadline. I don't know if people remember that, but the management had sold at the deadline. The Twins claw back, get into a wild card spot, the second wild card spot. This was back when there was only 2 wild card teams, and they would play a 1-game play in to get to the 4 seed. And the Twins, after one half inning, they were in New York, so they were up first, and they lost. They were up 3-0 after the first inning, and then after the top of the first, they were up 3-0, and then after the bottom of the first, they were down like 6-3 or something like that, and just got shelled after that. So number 9, again, 2 recent ones, and then we will, for number 8, we're gonna go back to the 1977 NFC Championship game. They got absolutely destroyed. The Vikings did in this game. And yeah, just got destroyed. Did not make it to another Super Bowl. This was in the era where they actually could make the Super Bowl, and this was probably the beginning of when they started coming up short of even making it to the Super Bowl. If we move on to number 7 here, this is the game they should have won. The Golden Gophers hockey team should have beaten Quinnipiac, but they could not. They lose in overtime. I don't know how this team did not win a national championship. You had Brock Faber, you had Logan Cooley, you had Jimmy Snuggerud, and Matthew Nyes. Again, all just fantastic NHL players now. And they lost to Quinnipiac in overtime. And again, this was also Easter weekend, so put kind of a damper on Easter weekend for Gophers fans. Moving on to number 6 here, we get the 2003 Week 17 at Arizona. This was the Hail Mary against the Vikings that kept them out of the playoffs. This was Paul Allen's call where he just screamed no at the top of his lungs. So that was that game comes in at number 6. We'll put the cover back on here. We're going to get the 1 through 5 up, but yeah, this is where it really starts to take hold here. 1 through 5. 4 of these 5 are all one team. So be prepared to look away if you need to. Shield your eyes. But we move on. Again, some people might argue that this is too low for this one, but this wasn't even like a close game. So I couldn't put it much higher than this one. But again, this one is recent in my mind. The 2017 NFC Championship game with the Vikings losing, getting absolutely curb stomped by the Philadelphia Eagles 38-7. The Vikings score on their first drive. It is the week after the Minneapolis Miracle. You think, oh, we scored on the first drive. We scored on 2 consecutive drives now, dating back to the Minneapolis Miracle game. We got this. We're going to play the Super Bowl at home, be the first team to do that. And then the Eagles score 38 unanswered points and win the game and end up playing the Patriots in Minnesota and beating them on our home turf. Again, I understand this one might be higher on some people's list, but again, for me, it was not a close game. So I couldn't put it any higher than 5. Number 4 was a recent game, and it was close, so that is why I put number 4 over it, that being the 2015 NFC wildcard, the Vikings against the Seattle Seahawks. That is the Blair Walsh missed kick. It was 10-9. Again, 20 seconds left, something like that. Chip shot to take the lead, 12-10, and then you just got to have the defense do what they've been doing all day and just get a stop. And the Vikings were leading almost the entire game, but they just could not hold it down at the end, and then they had a chance to win it at the very end and blew it. Now number 3 here is I did say this was just losses. I didn't necessarily mean it was games being lost. So number 3 is Minnesota losing their original hockey team and the North Stars leaving for Dallas and becoming the Dallas Stars. So Norm Green still sucks. He is one of the most hated, if not the most hated, people in Minnesota. Still, the Wild have been a team this is their 25th year. So the North Stars left a couple years before that. So it's been over 30 years, and Norm Green is still one of the most hated people in the state of Minnesota. Number 2, we go back to the gridiron. It is the 2009 NFC Championship game. Brett Favre thrown across his body, being intercepted, and the Vikings not making it to the Super Bowl in 2009, having to watch the Saints beat the Colts and thinking that should have been us. So, yeah, Brett Favre again. Paul Allen, why do you even ponder passing there? Threw across his body, across the field, that was picked off. They could have just taken a knee or gotten another 5 or 6 yards to make the field goal a little bit more manageable there. But number 1, the original heartbreak kick. It's the 1998 NFC Championship game, is the most heartbreaking game in Minnesota sports history. Again, Gary Anderson, he's been perfect on field goals all year, and decides to shank one in the most important time. Would have put them up by 10 points, 2 scores, and the Falcons were able to come back down and tie it and send the game into overtime before eventually winning, and again preventing the Vikings from going to the Super Bowl again. So, yep, that is my list. Let me know if I got anything right or wrong, or what you would change. Also, let me know too if what you want me to rank next. So, all right. Again, thank you for watching this episode of the 301 Show, episode 26. Make sure you subscribe to the 301 Show YouTube channel. We'll have more 301 Banner episodes out too, with interviews with players. Go check those out if you haven't already. Also, comment down below where you agree or disagree with me on any of my takes today, whether it be about the teams or my power rankings. We will see you next time. Again, thanks for watching. Peace.